Recording in
now,
progress.
Across all corners of the globe, although I don't think that might be a geometric paradox. Thank you, all of you, for joining us wherever you are from all around the world. My name is Philip Varghese. I'm the recruitment coordinator for the Schulich Masters of Business Analytics and the Masters of Management in Artificial Intelligence. My role today is just to kind of kick things off and to introduce our talent. And we got a diverse network of talent. They're going to help you explore the Schulich Masters of Business Analytics and the Masters of Management in Artificial Intelligence. The webinar, again, as the invites and the intros suggest, is all about getting the perspectives of the Mban and MMAI community of assistant directors and alumni for the program. We also have one current student who's about to be transitioning into an alumni soon. And so since we only have about an hour in time, which includes both our panel and our Q&A time, we're going to make sure that we give our stars as much time as possible to tell their stories and answer your questions. You will notice at the very end of our presentation, I'm going to highlight next week's admissions webinars for both the Mban and the MMAI, where any questions that you have about the admissions process, whatever stage you're at, whether you're about to your application to submit by the round 3 Mban deadline of next week, or you have been interviewed and you're waiting for a decision, or you've been accepted your offer, we can explore those next week. And of course, I'll leave you with my emails for you to connect through email as well. But by way of introducing yourself to everyone, can I please ask everyone, as has become the custom for our weekly webinars for the Mban and MMAI, I'm just going to ask you to use the chat function and to make sure you're addressing your chats to everyone. And just please type your first name and your last name, the city you're currently in, the time it is where you are. You can also be interested to know what the weather is where you are, a brief weather report. And very importantly, if you're considering, if you're a prospective Mban, Masters of Business Analytics, or an MMAI student, or at this point, you're considering both. So your first name and your last name, the time and location it is where you are, the city, the weather, and if you are an Mban or MMAI or a prospect or a potential student for both programs. And I'll take just a few seconds to read a couple of them, but I hope everyone will just scan the list of chats to see where everyone is and where they're at. And then pretty soon we'll start the rest of the webinar. Okay, thanks for doing that. I'm going to, as always, I'm going to read some of these off. And as always, I'm going to ask for your apologies as I struggle my best to pronounce your names, but I'll do my best. So Dan, I hope I pronounced that right, Dan. Dan, who joins us from Sudbury, where it's 12:07 p.m., who's interested in the MMAI program. And we have Simran joining us from New Delhi, where it's late in the evening at 10:30. Interested in both the MMAI, I'm assuming, and the Mban. Palak, nice to connect with you again. We have Rashid, we have Feng Lin again. Feng Lin, we've had several great conversations. Thank you very much for reconnecting, especially late in the evening where it's 1:05 a.m. in Beijing. We also have people joining us from Singapore, from New Delhi, from Chandigarh in India, many from Toronto. Noah, it's nice to see you again. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Again, I'd love, please keep them going and have a scan at them. Right now, I'm going to introduce you to my colleague, Emily Vanderheiden, who is responsible for a whole range of strategic initiatives, primarily those affecting the career outcomes of our Mban and MMAI students. She also plays an extremely important role as coaching and guiding our Mban and MMAI students through the career development process. I'm going to hand things off to Emily, who's also going to take the lead role in facilitating the panel conversation. Emily?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Philip. And thank you everyone for coming today. And a special thank you to our alumni that are sitting on this panel ready to go. This is going to be an amazing event. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to my colleagues. I'm going to start off by introducing you to David Johnston, who is the director of the Mban and MMAI programs.
Thank you, Emily. Greetings, prospective Mban and MAI students. Welcome to our session today. And I'm really excited because we have alumni returning to talk to us about what they've learned since they've left the program, and with the perspective that that's given them on the program, which they can give you some perspective on it coming into the program. And of course, we have actually one of our current students too, just to make this live, real time. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to chatting with you as we go along for today. And without any further ado, let me introduce my colleague, also Neelam Verma. So we tend to do things fairly collaboratively between Emily, David, myself, and Neelam, and of course your recruitment team, and of which Philip is the person you've been dealing with a lot lately. So let me introduce Neelam Verma, who's actually assistant director, and she's the one who's very important to our program that deals with the analytic consulting projects. And in the MMAI program, that's referred to as the Artificial Intelligence Consulting Project, so AICP project. So Neil?
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's so exciting to see people from all around the world here. So as David mentioned, I lead the consulting projects for the Mban and the MMAI project programs. And it's an exciting part of both of those programs. And we're going to go into that today as well. And our panelists are going to answer questions about it because they've actually gone through the journey. They've actually been on these amazing consulting projects, so they can really, share their insights about how what they learned, what they gained, and answer any questions that you have. And I'm also here as well in case you have questions. You can drop them in the chat. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to Emily so we can kick off this panel.
All right, now I love my colleagues, but I definitely love my students and my alumni a special amount. So I am so excited to introduce our panel of 5 amazing alumni to all of you today. So I'm going to go one by one. I'm going to get all of you to kind of talk about which program you did and then also kind of what you're up to these days. And I'm going to start with Ayad, finishing your 4th term with the Government of Canada.
Yeah, hey everyone. Glad to be here and glad to talk to everyone. My name is Ayad, and I'm actually finishing my last term and just finishing my last course, and the program has been amazing. I'm doing my AICP, which is my consulting project with the Government of Canada, and I'm doing this master's straight after my undergrad, which I did in chemistry. So it's quite the vast change, but the whole pace at Schulich has been amazing, and yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ayad. And next we have Gaia. So Gaia is also an MMAI alum, and she is working right now at PepsiCo. So Gaia, the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and thank you, Schulich, for having us back here. So yeah, I just graduated. I started with Ayad and Ricardo, and I graduated just in August. And I also did the MMAI program right after my bachelor's at Purdue in the US. So I did industrial engineering. And it's in the same ballpark as, I guess, in the tech field. So yeah, now I'm a business analyst at PepsiCo. So look forward to chatting to you guys about that.
Amazing. So now we're going to turn it over to our Mban alumni. And I'm going to start with Ricardo Lum, who is currently working at Loblaw. Ricardo, the stage is yours.
Yeah, I did it was not I am an MMAI student. I'm right now in not Loblaw. I am Manulife working as a data scientist. So I had the pleasure to work with Gaia and Ayat. And from my past experience, I was like mechanical engineering. So I had this like big change in my career since I was like much more a project manager rather than a programmer or a data science. So for me, Schoolish helped me, like this whole process helped me to strengthen my skills, both business and also programming skills as well. So for me, it was really good.
Amazing. And sorry about that, Ricardo. My notes totally had an error. Next, we are going to pass it on to an actual Mban alumni, Bob, who is now working at CIBC.
Yeah, hi, I'm Vaibhav. I'm a recent graduate from the Mban program. I'm working right now with CIBC. This is through a rotational program. More specifically, I'm working with the audit team to support them in the data analytics function. Before this, I actually did my ACP with with CIBC. We were selected through through an elaborate process, and I got to learn a lot of things through the Mban course, and many of them are very useful when I'm working right now and continue to be useful going forward.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Bob. And last but certainly not least, we have Priyanka. She is an Mban alum, and she is now working for MMAI with Deloitte.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. So similar to Vaibhav, I finished my Mban this year in April, and I was also working at Deloitte for my ACP, so luckily transitioned into a full-time role, and currently I'm working within the Omnia practice at Deloitte, specifically within the data modernization and analytics team. And happy to discuss my experiences during Mban with you. And prior to my Mban, I also did my BBA from Schulich, so long-time alum.
Amazing. So thank you so much. So this is our lovely panel. So attendees, if you do have any questions for our panelists, feel free to put it in the Q&A at the bottom. I have a couple of questions that I have just to start us off, but if you have anything that you'd really like the panel to discuss today, we can get them ready for that, and we can make sure that we are all on the same page. So I'm going to start it off with something really easy. What was your favorite course, and why was it your favorite course? Ricardo, I'm feeling horrible about your intro, so I'm going to start it off with you.
Okay, no, don't worry. So I think it's hard to choose because there were several like great courses, but one of my favorites and one that I'm leveraging the most at the role that I'm currently in is data visualization. Because I think we do these technical things, but we have to communicate the results to our end users or our partners. So data visualizations provide you these skills that you like how to better display some data that is there, that is like the matrix, and then you have to turn into information. So for me, that's the best course.
Awesome. And a really quick follow-up to that, who taught that course and which semester did you complete it?
So it was David Elsner, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, in the last term.
Awesome. I'm going to ask Priyanka, what was your favorite course and why?
So I actually have two favorite courses. Similar to Ricardo, I also really loved David Elsner's course on data visualization. Learned a lot about Tableau, and it's something that's very useful in consulting as well. So I'm actually planning on building my skill sets on Tableau, as continuing like getting certifications in it. And another favorite course that I had was Realizing Value, which was with David Markwell in my last semester. Again, coming from a business background, because I learned so much about strategy in that class, it really translates into what I'm doing right now for clients and developing strategies and roadmaps. So two of my favorite courses.
Perfect. And which semester was that one completed in?
So for data visualization, that was in my first term, and Realizing Value was in my third term.
Fantastic. And I'm going to pass it over to Vaibhav. What was your favorite course and why?
Since the panelists before me have already taken Professor Elsner's course, I'll talk about Professor Hjalmar Thuresson. I took both AI1 and AI2 courses. This was in the third and the fourth semester when I was studying. What I liked about those courses was just the possibilities they open up. I mean, AI is an emerging field, and we talk very specifically about the various technologies that can be applied for many use cases which are there right now, as well as many use cases which are emerging going forward. So just the application of just the way he taught us about the various applications of NLP and neural networks and several other such tools and techniques, all of that was very useful, and I believe it'll help me a lot in the future as well.
Amazing, thank you. And now, Ayad, I know that right now you're in one course, your analytics.
Yeah, finishing that analytics course up with the math. But for me, my favorite course has definitely been the management, case and presentation skills. I will say the David Elsner courses are great and Yalmar is great. But for me, I came from a chemistry background, and maybe this is for the people that are not coming from direct, business backgrounds or backgrounds maybe of engineering. The Schulich experience really puts you in and immerses you and teaches you everything about presentations and being able to take on like case problems, right? And then solve them and working with the team. And especially it combined a lot of, they kept mixing us up for teams. So we got to experience so many different people, so many different backgrounds, all coming together to solve issues and problems in the business world. And that was my favorite course. And I think it was taught by Grishma and Catherine. I think they were consultants at RBC.
Awesome. And which semester did you complete that?
That was the first semester. That was really, it was a good way to start the whole experience.
Awesome. It's a huge range of favorites. And now Gaia, what was your favorite if it hasn't already been taken?
Yeah, the one I had in mind was definitely been mentioned multiple times. David's course, of course. Like Ricardo mentioned, I have to talk on it a little because I just really love the course and I still use it to this day. Like we do use Tableau quite a bit at Pepsi. And just knowing how a small decision in like the type of chart or the colors used can completely shift the story we're telling, or like what the audience is even understanding, that was like a super great takeaway. And if I have to talk about one other course, I would talk about the change management course. And I'm pretty sure we took that I want to say the second term, but I could be wrong. And that was with Jordan Berman, if I'm not wrong. My memory is all over the place, but I love that course because I think it's important for us as employees and leaders like in the space to understand how to own a change or be part of a change and be a change leader. I think that was super valuable.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm going to do an audience question now, and it's just the first one. So any of you can take a stab at this one. So what would the schedule be like more or less? I want to know if you can be working full-time or part-time. So do the five of you have any advice about kind of the workload and what the potential student could take on in terms of a job?
I could take on that. So in my opinion, I already had like work experience, and when I joined Schoolish, I thought it would be easier. Like at least it would not be so heavyweight, but there is a lot of assignments, a lot of stuff that you have to work and progress, and including if you need to improve your coding skills, that will consume your time. And there is a lot of group assignments that also take time. So maybe a part-time, but only if you are really brave and really, because there are so many opportunities that you miss if you are working and studying at the same time. So my suggestion would do not go for full-time, and maybe part-time, but only if it adds up to your experience.
Awesome. And does anyone else have anything to add? I think that's some pretty great advice, but if anyone else held a part-time job.
Yeah, I can speak on that. So it's actually a completely different view from Ricardo. I actually worked full-time throughout my master's. So I think it is doable as long as you time manage and are able to split your time evenly between the two. I was still able to, take part in a lot of activities and still do well in the program. So it definitely has to do with your work ethic.
Fantastic. And I think go ahead, Gaia.
Yeah, just like a disclaimer, I think we were all in like online learning, so most of us did it online. That's what made it super easy. So I don't know if the incoming class if they're going to be in person, it might be super different for them. Because for the MMA program, like we were done pretty much by 11:30 every day, Eastern Standard Time. So if you're working full time, that's not a problem at all. So I don't know if with in-person classes how that would work, but yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Is we will be going back full time in January, so that's definitely something to consider. And as well, I think kind of the overarching message is make sure that you have time to make for yourself and to prioritize, because I know Ricardo really dove into being a student leader in our program, and that's something that he really had as a takeaway. So really make sure that you understand the the experience that you want to get out of the program when deciding to work full-time or part-time during the program. There's one other question that I really like here, and I know that you guys all come from pretty diverse backgrounds. So how essential is it for an MBAN or even MMAI student to have any sort of analytics background? Is it mandated to have an understanding in Excel? I am working right now and looking into software testing. So does anyone have a completely different background and kind of some insights to share there?
So I come from a chemistry background, and with that, the reason I went to Schulich is I had a lot of startup experience near the end of my degree. So I was in the business side and I was in the science side. Before entering the program, I actually decided to take a few courses online into Python and all the data stuff. I still needed to learn more in the program, but it definitely made me feel a little bit more comfortable. And I think Schulich at the beginning, before the program starts, will recommend some certain courses, I think on DataCamp, to practice to get to the level, so you're grounded when you start. But yeah, it's a little bit better if you start a little bit before the program starts and kind of cement some skills in there.
Amazing. Thank you, Ed. And did anyone else come with kind of no experience in Excel or just a completely different undergrad? Nope. All right. So everyone was ready. So I think taking Ayad's advice, just make sure that you're going on data camp. You're talking to our recruitment team and our program team and figuring out what it is that you need to do to best prepare yourself for the start of the program. And to speak to that, what experience do you need to complete the program? So did the 5 of you do any kind of supplementary work or anything to get yourselves to feel ready for when the program started?
I can take on that.
Amazing.
So, I would really like Gaia and I did the Dean's Cup, which was this business case competition, which was really good because we competed with like several other schoolish students, and it was this high level competition about different business cases and opens up your mind on how to solve regardless of the data. Like, it's not a data driven competition. It's much more like understanding what is the challenge to be solved. And sometimes it doesn't even require AI or advanced analytics, but it requires you like thinking, strategic thinking. So this is one of the advice that I would really recommend. And also there is a lot of support from Schoolish with the advisors. They provide some advisors, technology advisors that help you build your resume besides what Emily provides and Neelan as well. This team inside Schoolish provides you this industry experience, how to build your resume, how to highlight your skills, which skills do you have to develop to fill those roles. And the third suggestion is to reach out to people in LinkedIn. Do not be afraid. Send those cold calls, reach them out, ask what should I be improving, because based on each one experience, you will see that there are different aspects in your curriculum that, like in your resume, that you can improve. And by talking with them, like, you know how to do that better.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ricardo. And did anyone else, Babab, you have?
Yeah, so I actually prepared for, I did various certifications and in fact an entire diploma from Toronto before joining the program. What I would recommend is that there's a lot in analytics that can be learned, and you can spend years learning that. It'll be a good idea to build your foundations and figure out which particular fields of analytics you like more or you're more interested in. But either ways, both before the program and parallel through the program, like it is a good idea to keep on adding to your skills depending on what you're liking in the class, or what's required in your ACP, or what kind of role you're looking for. It's always good to add some certifications in things like Azure, Tableau. We have certification in SAS in our course. Learning more of Python if you want to, learning some specific libraries that you might be needing for your work. So all that happens even when you're on the job. and doing it during the program, before the program, is only going to help you learn and do better in the program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. So I think really in summary, to prepare for the program is just making sure you look at the curriculum, you understand maybe where your opportunities are, and then also you can work with the program team about what type of supplementary information you need.
Sorry, Emily.
No, I
just
love
add
it.
something super quick for the MMAI program or people wanting to go into it. I just dropped a link into the chat, and it's a super basic like intro to AI for people that have like no idea what it is. So going through this will really set you like up for success, I guess, in the program, because then you can, if you like the same knowledge, if you get it for the second time from experts, it's kind of like stays in your mind a bit more. So this is super, super good if people want to check it out.
Amazing. And now we have another question that I really like here. So most of the jobs in the market demand a bachelor's degree in data analytics, but what's the value add with a master's degree in analytics or artificial intelligence? So I think in terms of support, what was that like for you? How did the university support you in finding work? And also, what value did you find that your degree brought when you were sitting down in interviews? Did you find that that really set you apart from other candidates applying for the same roles?
I can take that. Yeah, so talking about my own journey, I am an immigrant in Canada. I mean, I came a few years ago, and I would certainly say that getting a degree and getting a degree at a school like Schulich does set you apart. There's a lot of activities that Schulich does which support you through your master's journey. Getting access to the ACP, networking events, many events where you have people from different companies talking about their work, where you can engage with them. And in a lot smaller groups, like our groups were hardly like we have a class at like about 40 people. That's a fairly condensed group. Just having that interaction was great at Schulich. Additionally, having a course which is curated to the industry or curated to the demands of the industry, that helps you help me set myself apart from the other candidates. And it's an opportunity, I would say. And you should just try to make the most of that opportunity, both in terms of learning as well as in terms of building the connections that can help you going forward.
Amazing. Thank you, Bob. Does anyone else have any other kind of comments to that in terms of support
Yeah.
or just kind of feeling like you went into, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I'm in the journey right now of looking at companies and making my final choices for my workplace after. The Schulich team has been very helpful, and going back and forth, things from help on your resume to help on career guidance and what field you want to go to. And that's even without saying that the name Schulich itself will open so many doors for you, a school of such rank, right? But the support side from the school for finding jobs has been great. Another example is sometimes, as students, we get sent jobs to our email and then we are told to apply. And so I don't think any other school at least goes that far to make sure the student, is set up for success.
Awesome. Thank you, Ayad.
Yeah, I would like to add a few more things. I think schoolish, just the name show how serious you are, and shows to the companies how engaged you are, and they saw how serious school it is. And for me, it was great because, for example, the resume that I built, I know that the final version, most of it, Emily was the one that helped me to build, and she helped me to leverage some of those connections. And those even though initially sometimes when you are reaching out, it's not going to be the first one that you're going to engage and you're hired right away. But those initial connections that Schoolish helps you build with those companies helps you to improve your speech on how do you show what you have learned through your interview, because this is communicating what you have done. It's really important, and I think the Schoolish helps you to grow that skills when you are like in your job interview, and that plays a major role.
That's great, Ricardo, is really focusing on storytelling. And the one biggest piece of advice that I tell new students is every day talk to non-technical family members about the technical work that you're doing, because in the workplace, you will speak to so many people that don't necessarily understand the code and the work behind it, but they do need to understand, and they would understand the business practice. So that's incredible. The next question, I think I'm going to ask you guys to explain, and then Neelam, if you could help fill the blanks a little bit. The question is about the ACP and the AICPs. Can you talk about how it works? So did you have an interview to get onto your project, or were you just assigned the project? And how did scoping the project work for you? And overall, how was your experience? I know, Priyanka, you're working for your ACP project, so I'd love to let you start this one off.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of the process, we all gave our resumes into Schulich. It was like a bucket of resumes, and the companies were the ones that picked us to do the ACPs. So I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to work with Deloitte for my ACP project. And in terms of the interviews, they were actually quite happy with our performance during the ACP. I was able to build connections with my team and my management, and they were able to actually take on my entire team and provide us with a full-time opportunity and transition us into the Omnia team permanently. So it was quite a smooth experience for me. The transition was quite smooth. Amazing. But you do need to go through the interview process. Yeah.
And so a question for you, and I don't even think you and I have gotten the chance to catch up yet. Are you working full-time with your now ex-classmates?
Yeah, so one of my friends is actually on the same team as me, and a couple of them are on different teams within Omnia, but we all get to hang out and meet up once in a while.
That's amazing. I absolutely love that. So there are times where our clients do hire on our students. It's not guaranteed, but when special situations like this happen, it's always great to watch. Does anyone else on the panel have anything to talk about with how their placement went? And kind of what working on the project has been like or was like?
So it was, I would say I got to learn a lot while working on the project. There was, like Emily mentioned, there's no commitment in terms of that they will hire you at the end of the program. So all you can do is make the most of the experience, learn as much as you can, build the kind of connections. And there's a lot of invaluable advice that I got during the course of my ACP from the clients. We used to have regular bi-weekly sessions. They may be more or less frequent depending on your project. And just the advice that they used to give us, looking at our work, really helped us prepare ourselves better for what comes next, for whatever would have come next for us. And I guess most of my time went into trying to deliver the desired outcome, and they helped me they guided me quite well through the process. So I learned a lot, and I felt that really helped me crack the next step.
Awesome.
I wanted to add something there. I know for Priyanka, when you got Deloitte, they had just picked you from your resumes, because the way the process works with these projects is you submit your resumes or profiles to me, and I send them to the companies, and most of the companies select you based on that. However, I know with Vaibhav, CIBC did something very interesting. They did a Dragon's Den competition, which was really fun, and they actually invited candidates to come and present for a few minutes in a Dragon's Den, and you got selected. So some clients like to do things a little bit more creative.
Amazing. Thank you. And Gaia, it looked like you were going to go off mute. Did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I have, just for clarification, I was going to clarify that, like, some of us didn't have an interview to get the AICP project, but some people did. And just to, I guess, let everyone know, everyone does get placed into an AICP project. I know that was some concerns that I had going in, because I knew a lot of my colleagues had like way more coding experience, and I was like, how can we compete? But the companies do look at everything holistically and do choose you for the fit for the company. So that's super great. And I only have great things to say about the AICP project. Like, it was an amazing experience for me. I was with Loblaws, and I got to work on like some super cool like natural language processing stuff, and it was just learning on top of learning, which I don't think we would have ever gotten. Like, we don't get to apply the knowledge that we learn in the classroom like that in real life problems anywhere else. So that was super valuable for me. And I did like talk about it in my interview with PepsiCo. Like, what I'm doing at Pepsi is super like parallel to what I did with Loblaws, and it was almost super empowering for me because it was my first real industry coding experience, and I kind of owned that from end to end. And that's honestly gives you a confidence boost when you get to talk about that in interviews for other jobs. So like, it's a great experience. Only great things.
Thank you for sharing that. What I wanted to say is what you mentioned in the beginning, which is you were a little worried, is everyone going to get placed? Yes, every single student gets placed on a project. That's my job. So I make sure that that happens. So you don't have to worry about that. But there is something else that's really interesting. You don't have to worry if you're not too technical or too technical, because the way the companies like to form teams is they're trying to create a balanced team. And these projects are they choose 3 to 4 students for a course of 8 months. And during that time, you work with them on this project, and they want to have somebody who has management skills, somebody who has more coding skills, someone who has strong communication skills, someone who might have more math skills. So they bring together a unique group. So I just want to share that, because you don't have to worry about where you're at. You just got to bring what you have, whatever experiences you have, whatever your background is, whatever that experience is, just bring it, because you just never know what the client is looking for. So rest assured, you'll be placed on an amazing project like everyone else here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Neelam and panel.
Could I add something also? I think all the AICPs, from what I talked with my other colleagues that did something different, I think the whole journey is very similar. I had at least 6 years of experience, more than 6 years before the MMI. But I can tell you, I already worked in some projects related to data, and all the companies that I work at, they are pretty much the same. Data is messy. The understanding the business problems is also complex. You have to connect with people. Also, the coding are all challenging. So when you go into the AICP, I think it's the best way to consolidate your knowledge. And this experience it's amazing. And this, when you are if you do not get hired by the company, depending, maybe the company is starter level and doesn't have enough resources to hire you up, but the whole experience that you bring in your job interviews, when you describe this whole process, this is something that is extremely valuable, and you are going to bring to every company that you're going to work for.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ricardo. That's very impactful.
Yeah, could I just throw something in, or do you have time?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I know my team, especially at the Government of Canada, we have such a diverse team with such a diverse skill set, and I came more from a business background, and now on the team, I'm actually in charge of creating a lot of dashboards and all that. So even in your AICP, you will have that opportunity to take it upon yourself and learn a new skill, or get better at something. And you can also work with the coding people to learn more and just really apply yourself. It's almost like a playground for you to just become the best version of yourself and provide solutions in the company. And the best part about it is, like everyone said before, the teams are very diverse, so you do have skill sets everywhere for you to learn.
Exactly.
I also want to add something to that. So, you get to work with so many interesting people, but you also work with so many different clients. One thing you have to realize is that analytics and AI has been growing and booming over the last couple of years. Since I've been here, our projects have been sold out. So you don't have to worry about, is this an industry, a growth opportunity? There are so many roles, and it's growing, and it's amazing. I want to share some of the companies that we've worked with, because it's a diverse set of industries. We work with the Government of Canada, we work with OMERS, we worked with L'Oreal, Deloitte, RBC, CIBC, We've done tons of work with different startups in Canada, but also internationally. We work with companies like Sleep Country. So the list is on and on. E&Y. So from large banks to, packaged goods to innovative startups, we really try to bring in different companies that have great projects. And David Johnston, who's our program director, has been amazing in helping scoping those projects to ensure that they're aligned to the curriculum. So you can actually take what you're learning in class and apply them and deliver something of value to the client. So it really is an amazing experience.
You've entering the program, you have a dream team behind you and making sure that you're placed on something interesting. And another thing that's great is even just, I'm sure, the 5 of you being able to talk to each other about the different work that you did and just learn from each other and the mistakes and the fails and the opportunities and everything far and few between. And you all come from such diverse backgrounds. Even Ayad, he has not shared this yet, and I'm going to shamelessly brag about you, but he's an entrepreneur and he just kind of created and just bought out, or is in the process of buying out, his first company. So you're coming out of such an interesting background to now be doing so much in data visualization. It's really interesting. And if you feel like, I'm not coming from a mathematics background, that's okay. You can also be a boss entrepreneur like Ayad.
Thank you.
So this next question, I want to answer it a little bit differently. So if you all want to come off mute, this one, someone just said, what are some different languages and databases that you learned? So you guys just want to spitfire some of the different things that you learned. Let's just kind of talk about some of those in more of a quick fire round. I want to change things up a bit.
Python's a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, we did some R.
Tableau, of course.
SQL as well, I think, for the database
Big
course.
one, yeah.
Many of the NLP libraries and Python.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So Tableau, SAS, R, Python. I know you did some work in the cloud. There's kind of a ton of different things that you get the chances to do. I think you do some Power BI, if I'm correct. So there's a ton of kind of different languages and things that you have the chance to work on. So the next thing I want to ask you, it's not in the chat. This is just something that I want to ask. What is one of your favorite memories or lessons learned in the program?
I can kickstart this one. So for me, a lot of it had to do with just like building connections and friendships. So I know we go into the program with this mindset that we want to find a job and, we want to do the best we can in our courses, but we kind of, especially in an online setting where you can't really meet any of your classmates in person, at least for my cohort, it was very valuable to build those connections outside of class. And it's crazy because I made a lot of friends despite the online environment. And right after our program ended, we planned a lot of events where we got to meet up in person for the first time, which was quite exciting. And after spending an entire year with them in the same program and never meeting with them, it was super interesting to see them in person. So definitely network, build those connections, because you never know where it might help you in your career later on. So yeah, that was my takeaway. And my memories also are just around the same idea of working on group projects, a lot of all-nighters with my friends, but definitely made the program worthwhile having that support.
Awesome. Thank you, Priyanka. Yeah, and it's great. You automatically have a group of 40 people in your network just from starting the program. And I've had students tell me that they've turned down a job and that they recommended their friend to be the one to get it. So it's great just to have your classmates to start off your network. Vaibhav, what is your favorite memory or lesson learned?
The favorite memory actually was getting selected for the ACP, as Neelam mentioned, and she was there on that day as well. It was through a Dragon's Den competition, so just the excitement building up and then finally being selected by a reputed company. That was my the best memory that I have from the program. Apart from that, a lot of learnings through the competitions that we took part in, as a team. There were some SAS competitions, a few other hackathons, that were organized both internally and outside of Schulich. So just working with your classmates, because as Priyanka mentioned, we were all studying online, we were studying virtually. These were some opportunities we had to connect with each other as fellow classmates and learn from each other, and working on those projects with them, and getting good positions in some of them was really fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Prabhav. And shout out to Neelam for being part of such an incredible memory for you. Gaia, what's your favorite memory or lesson learned from this past year?
Favorite memory, I think Ricardo mentioned it. It was the Dean's Cup case competition. So going in, like, I think it started on our first term and we didn't even know. I think Ayad was also in our team, right? If I'm not wrong, I could be wrong. We had like six members from our team, and going in, we didn't know how long it was going to be. And it like went through like 2 terms, and we just got to work with like real life problems from companies. And that was super valuable. And we all got like super close because we're just like working on so many different things together. And you really get to know your teammates, and like outside of classes, that's super, super great. And there were other case competitions where you also got to work with people across like the school. So that was super great too. So building those connections. But yeah, I think that would be my favorite memory. For lessons learned, I think, one of the biggest lessons I learned was the flag, or like this student, being a student is super empowering because people are super supportive when they learn you're a student, and you can ask all sorts of questions, no matter how stupid you might think they may be. No one thinks that. Everyone's super open to like support you. And even at the AICP, they understand you're a student, you're still learning. So they're not going to throw you in at the deep end. Like, they support you along the way. So that was super, super good. So taking advantage of that student label was the biggest lesson.
Amazing. Thank you. And I know, Ayad, you're just finishing the program, but what's been your favorite memory or lesson learned?
For me, yeah, like all the self-learning and all the learning you get to do. For me personally, it wasn't a group project. It was a project we did with David Elsner, the analytics professor. And what we had to do was we had to pick out a database from the city of Toronto. So for me, the database was about libraries and how that correlated to how well an area is doing and how central it is to the city of being a hub. And so through that, like, I randomly picked that database, and then the amount of learning I did on my own out of research and everything. And I was really empowered by David himself to really go deeper and learn so much more about the city of Lemon, and present a really nice project that was shown to the city of Toronto, actually, at the end of it. Yeah.
That's amazing. And last but certainly not least, Ricardo, what's your favorite memory or lesson learned?
Yeah, I think my favorite memories are the same as Gaia. I think Dean's Cup was amazing. Like, working in a group, it's the perfect stimulation for the work experience, because when you are in the work environment, you have to work with teams with different opinions, and you will fight, but then you will argue, but at the end, like, you feel like mission accomplished. So that was the feeling that I had every single case competition that we had. And also working in group assignments, because those different opinions will clash, and then you have to sort out, and at the end, this will be the end result. And for lesson learned, I think for me, I came with a stronger coding background, and what I did to take most of the program is that I like connected with the professors to go beyond. So there were some assignments I knew that I could do that. Like, maybe some code assignments for me was not that hard, but what I did is that, well, how can I do this and learn a little bit more? Because we have so many skilled professors with so much knowledge that they can exchange. And then I took advantage of that and reach them out and say, how could I be improving that? Or how could I do a different code or try new techniques? So for me, that was like one of the experience. It depends on each one's background, but it's as Gaia mentioned, I think you have to take advantage of this student label and leverage reaching out to everyone and including our professors, which are like this great staff.
Amazing. Thanks, Ricardo. Yeah, one thing that doesn't get marketed as a student is you definitely learn how to have challenging conversations and how to be professional and get your point across, even if things if you're not agreeing with your teammate. But it's definitely a lesson that's great to learn. And also, like Gaia said and Ricardo, leveraging that you are a student and really just taking the time to learn and divulge into the things that you're being taught. We are getting close to the end of time, and I've noticed we have not heard from David much. David, do you have any comments or kind of tips or advice for anyone thinking of joining the Mban or MMAI programs? Sorry to put you on the spot.
I'm getting used to being put on the spot by Emily and Neelam, so it's good practice. And I don't really think I have to say anything. Our five guests today have pretty well touched on all the key points I would make, and the impression that they've given about the program, the upside of coming into the program, their excitement with the field and what they've learned, the quality of the teaching, the quality of the experiential part of it, the ACP type projects. I think they've said it all. I don't think I really have to say anything more. Of course, I or Neelam or Emily or any of the panelists, I imagine, can answer a number of specific other questions that you have. So well done, panel, and thank you very much. And it's great to see alumni again. I'm hoping that we're going to actually physically be able to get together and have a cocktail party or something of that nature as we get into the new year. As probably everybody on this call is aware, we are committed to an in-person experience coming winter 2022. And that we're moving heaven and earth to make sure that happens and that we provide a safe and productive work environment. Plus also leverage all the lessons we've learned going through the last 18 months of transformation, and not only the things that have happened out in the real world, but also the things that have happened in the university to improve our programs. And we've done a fair bit of improvements in the curriculum of the actual Mban program, particularly recently, and then of course moving on to the MMAI program too. So that was pretty well all I would say, Emily. One second. Child alert time. Yes, I think we're all getting these phones from the warning system. Anyways, thank you for all. Is there any more questions we can field from you? Let's chat.
I think one thing I want to say is I'm noticing quite a few admission questions, and I'm going to I think Philip's still on this call. If Philip could just share his email, just because you can ask those more specifically, just based on your own personal situation, as I know that this is a huge decision to make, and we want to make sure that it's the right one for you. So if you do have admissions questions.
Also, Emily, I'm just going to interrupt you to say two things, given that we only have a few minutes left, is that, there are a whole range of admission-related questions that I saw there, including scholarships and all sorts of things that the time is of the essence, because for the Mban program, we're more than halfway through the application process. Anyone thinking of being considered to start the program this May, who has not started the application process, should do that as soon as possible. So I will enter my email in the chat soon, but please, and it'll include an invitation to these webinars next week, which is November 23rd, the Mban admission webinar, and on Friday next week, the MMAI admission webinar as well. Again, thanks everyone. If I don't have a chance to say that before the end, thank you so much for investing the most valuable resource of all, which is your time and attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you again, a huge thank you to our alumni. Ayad, your soon-to-be alumni, doing great in your course. Thank you all for coming today. This has been an excellent conversation, and feel free to connect with us later.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Everyone, bye.
Bye.
Oh no. I hope everything's okay.
It's usually a child alert issue, I think, is usually these
Oh no,
calls. So,
it's
yeah.
it's saying it's a test.
Test. It's
Oh,
a
it's
test.
a test, thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
better to be safe.
Okay, and we've got a few people just still on there. You might have a few ghost calls.
Yeah, we just have some thank yous.
Mhm.
All right. I guess we're good to shut this down.
Yep, we should probably jump off. There's 30 people still on here.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Recording